Welcome to Whispers to a Bride, where we talk about the stuff no one else is talking about. We are going deep on the emotional aspects of getting married, the stress, drama, and turbulence that affects your own sense of identity and your closest relationships. We are talking about what it means to be a bride and how to navigate this sacred time with more grace and ease. I'm your host, Kara Gassabay. As a life coach and therapist, I'm going to be sharing super practical tips so that you can not only rise to the occasion of your wedding, but also your life. Hello, and welcome back. I'm Kara. This is Whispers to a Bride, and this is our episode on what is the point. This is an episode for you when you are just completely overwhelmed and frustrated with the entire wedding planning process. Like, you're in the weeds, you're in the details, whether you're trying to select vendors or make decisions, you keep going back to the spreadsheet that keeps just getting completely out of whack. It's so much money. There's so many opinions. Your parents keep weighing in, a lot is happening. Maybe there's stuff going on with the bachelor or bachelorette party plans. There gets that point in the process where it's just what is even happening? You're starting to miss your old life when you guys would just hang out, go to work, go to the gym, hang out with your friends, see movies, whatever your routine was before your entire life started to be about wedding planning. When you're in the thick of it, you start to just really miss it and sort of start to maybe resent the whole project in the first place and start to really wonder, what are we doing this for, right? If it's causing a lot of, awkward discomfort with your friend, your family, and conflict between each other that just wasn't there before, it can really make you start to just question the whole point. And I think also we saw during the pandemic, people were able to get married and not have weddings. And it's funny, I was on TikTok recently and I forget what the post was, but I was getting a lot of comments and people were saying this is why eloping is the best decision. This is why I eloped, which, I am totally, I think eloping is so romantic, so just cool and special and wonderful for the right couple. And I also fully believe in weddings. So I just feel like today I wanted to come on, no notes, no big thesis, but just remind you why weddings are worth it and what they're about beyond the band or DJ and the buffet versus plated, all that stuff that is sort of the wedding noise and the wedding work of having to make all those decisions and do all of those things and figure out that guest list. There's a lot of work to putting on this event and a lot of time, money, effort, just a lot. But it's worth it if you remind yourself sort of not only what you're doing it for, but the bigger picture of why weddings are so wonderful, why they have persisted and been around despite how complicated and kind of overwhelming that they can be. They're still here for a reason. And I just attended a funeral last week, which really just reminded me again of why weddings. Why am I a champion of weddings? Why do I just care so much about other people's wedding experience? When you go to a funeral, it's really kind of uncanny how many similarities there are between weddings and funerals, people getting dressed up, where it's about loving someone and honoring them and gathering together all of the people that know this person. And there's a ceremony, there's tons of flowers, there's sort of toasts and speeches and the eulogies. There's that same vibe, let's remember all of the good things about this. And so it's just funny that especially if you're from a big family, I always thought about this growing up too, with a big extended family, there are often two times that all of those people will gather together, and that's the weddings and the funerals. So I'm always like, if we're going to do it for the funeral, let's also do it for the wedding, right? Because it is sort of that touch point in the whole narrative, in the timeline of your life, of your family's timeline, and that weddings really do mark that time in a really special, unique way. They're also huge, you know, markers in your own sort of life timeline. And there's just so many aspects that weddings pull in, right? One of the things that I always love thinking about is there's so much, right, about the nature, right? Just there's always the theme of flowers and nature and just like appreciating and really just sort of reveling in the abundance of the beauty, right, of nature. And that something about that I just love that like flowers have always been a part of weddings and always, I think, will be. And just this idea too of like the food and the dancing and the bringing together in celebration, like this idea that we will eat together, we will dance together is just such a cool thing that we don't have in our ordinary life very often, right? It's a special thing. It's a very ritualistic community thing that I just feel like there is something that we crave about that as just people, right? There's something that's like in our deep, deep DNA that wants those moments of dining and dancing and reveling in nature and in love and togetherness and in the gathering. I think that's really, again, while it is such a pain in the neck to do, it is also such a privilege and such a joy and such a just an honoring of the best parts, I think, of being alive, right? Like this is just one of the most special times that we create. And it is hard, but I also feel like as much work as you put in and sort of the pain and suffering of like the awkward conversations and the parts that like you can't make happen, the things that you see online that you can't manifest in your own wedding, and the heartache that goes with all of that, and the ups and the downs, and the disappointments, and the friendships that get shaken up, and maybe the people who can't be there, who you wanted to be there, or just all of the things that you go through, and the real sacrifices that you make with your time and your money to do this. It's just really worth it. So I just wanted to take a minute and remind you that this is such a bigger thing than it feels like when you're in the weeds, when you're in it, trying to create it, trying to like bring it to life. When you get really sort of overwhelmed in that space of just like overwhelm and just resenting your own wedding before it happens, which is a very normal point to get to, totally fine. But this is the time where I want you to really pull back your lens, really get like, up in the sky, get that sort of eagle vision and really look at it and think about what is the point. The point is gathering. The point is joy. The point is love. The point is beauty. The point is family. The point is art. The point is food. The point is dancing. The point is community. The point is blessing. The point is tradition. The point is hope. The point is promise. The point is ritual. The point is ending. The point is beginning. Like there's so many ways to think about your wedding and infuse just a whole legacy of meaning from the past into the future about you, about your family, about your partner, about your heritage, like about the people that love you. I just think the more you can sort of pull back and remind yourself, what are these bigger themes that my wedding is going to contribute to everyone gathered there, everyone who sees a picture of it, everybody, right? When you are driving by on a Saturday and you just like see like wedding people and you just get that like feeling of just joy and excitement, and they have nothing to do with you. You're not attending or anything, but it's just adding to the happiness and the light and the hope and the idea of love and people coming together and making promises and celebrating. Like, I just think we need more of that. I believe in it. I'm obsessed with it. And I just wanted today to remind you in this brief episode of what is the point of weddings. And I think there's a really, really big point, and there's lots of points. And I really want to invite you to sort of sink into like what your sort of personal mantra can be. Like, what is the point of this? Why am I doing this? Just to remind yourself to get regrounded, to give yourself that extra enthusiasm and energy when those things are running low, when you are in sort of that tough spot with the planning process. Remind yourself there's a much bigger picture and there's a huge point, and it's like very meaningful, very, very fundamental to who we are as people in community in this lifetime. You're doing like a really cool thing. So that's my little riff on what's the point. I hope it is helpful and inspiring to you as you are going through this season that can be tough. And as always, I am here for you to talk about and process and understand and just sort of recalibrate how you're approaching your wedding and your closest relationships as you are going through this really sacred time. I am here. Book your call, karamorning.com. I would love to work with you. I've been having such amazing conversations lately, and I cannot wait to hear from you. Until next time, I am wishing you nothing but bridal bliss.